Hey all, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I'm Darren, I'm your host. Today we got a special guest, Mr. Erik Mueller from the Smo'King BBQ Tips and Recipes YouTube channel. I'll be right back with Erik.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
All right, all. Welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I'm Darren. I'm your host. And today I got a special guest from the Smo'King BBQ Tips and Recipes YouTube channel, Mr. Erik Mueller. Welcome, Erik. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Darren. I feel like we're old friends, even though we've never met in person. We've talked quite a few times, both over the social media, Facebook and YouTube, and commenting back and forth and running ideas by. So I'm happy to see your channel taking off. I'm happy to see you do these podcasts. I think it's a great way to reach new people. But anyway, my name's Erik Mueller, and I live in Southern California. And I'm not a professional cook or chef by any stretch of the imagination. But I enjoy cooking, specifically stuff like Darren does, mixing the sous vide with the barbecue. And I have a YouTube channel that's, I think I'm just almost at 6,000 subscribers, and it's getting more and more views as time goes on. And try to get out one video a week, and just trying to spread the fun of cooking and family and enjoying good times together. So. I'm not doing it to make money. I'm just doing it to have fun.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. I started out that way as well, and it's just been growing. So, what got you started? What made you think, "Hey, I want to start recording my cooks and putting them up on YouTube"?
Well, I've always been a fan of YouTube, and what really started it was like 3 years ago. My wife bought me a smoker that was on sale at Sam's Club, and she knows I enjoy barbecue and stuff like that. And I'd never done that in my life, other than just doing basic hot dogs and hamburgers on like a kettle grill. So I started watching YouTube videos, and a lot of them were very informative. There's a lot of famous people out there that gives me, inspiration. And I didn't know what to do, and I wanted to do smoked salmon. That's what my wife said, please make smoked salmon. And there weren't that many smoked salmon videos out there for people wanting to smoke it. So I finally kind of took a basic recipe and just decided I was going to film it and upload it to YouTube, because I thought, man, if I can't find one, and if this comes out good, maybe this will be a kind of cool thing to do. So I kind of just did it more of kind of by accident. I didn't really think about pre-plan it. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing. I didn't have any equipment. I just took my phone. And I already had a tripod, and I just kind of stuck it there and recorded it. And that's still one of my best watched videos. It's almost 4 years later. So it's really motivated me, and people in the community, YouTube community, yourself included, and all the different groups online. And just a great group of people, and we all kind of have the same common thing. We like to enjoy each other's company, have fun, barbecue, do all this fun stuff. And if you can share it with people and support each other, it's just a great thing.
So that one video kind of got you hooked on it. How many views did you get in like the first week on that first smoked salmon video you did?
Yeah, you know what? I think it took probably 6 months before it really took off. I'd post it on Facebook, and of course I would email it to, the relatives and friends, and they'd all kind of go, oh yeah, that's a really good video. And yeah, I don't know when it was. It was shortly after that, probably within 3 or 4 months, that I, looking for inspiration on YouTube, I came across this very old sous vide video. It was like probably like 8 years ago. And it was like it was a professional, the company made it. I can't even remember what company it was, but they were cooking, with the steaks in the vacuum sealed bags. And I was like, wow, this looks really cool. And nobody really heard about it. And I ended up buying one, a pretty expensive one, and experimenting. And then when I saw how well it worked, it got me motivated to keep making videos. and I always mix them in with sometimes I just do one strictly barbecue and smoking. Sometimes I do just sous vide. Sometimes I mix the two. I'm always experimenting, just doing different things, but having a lot of fun in the process.
So how soon after you started your YouTube channel did you start with the sous vide? Was it a year later, or a few years later, or right?
Yeah, no, I think it was probably around a year, somewhere in that time frame. It was pretty. I think I was running out of ideas. I was kind of like, okay, I've done the pulled pork, I smoked the chicken, I smoked, tri-tips, I smoked the turkey. I'm like, okay, pork chops, and I was like, okay, what else can I do? And I could only picture, maybe a dozen or more things I can do. And then I kind of saw those sous vide videos, and there were very few of them at the time. But if you searched for it on online, you could find them. And yeah, I convinced my wife, and she said, "Wow, that looks pretty cool." And I'm like, "Okay," because it was a lot of money. I think I spent $400 on that first Backmaster sous vide machine. They didn't have under $100 units back then. And I decided if I was going to make videos, I might as well get a good one. So I kind of did a little investment there and bought the container and everything, and just started doing that. And then it kind of just dawned on me, wow, what have I mixed it to? And that's how it kind of all started.
Yeah, back when I first started looking at sous vide, I played around on YouTube, and besides Greg Mervich's couple of his videos that he was doing, mixing sous vide and barbecue, I had a couple of yours pop up that I watched as well. And there wasn't a whole lot back then, which kind of got me interested in doing it too. So it was really watching you and Greg and a couple others. Just it wasn't like every video that you did. It was just like every other one, or once a month or something you'd throw one out there. But it just intrigued me how it could be incorporated into barbecue as well. So that's kind of what got me started. It was me looking and seeing what was out there and trying to put it together in my own mind, and then watching some of the other people like you and Greg Mervich and a couple others that had kind of put some videos out there already. So to show that it did work. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I just mainly started it because it was untapped market. I don't think anyone back then, at least I don't know of. I can't say for certain, but I certainly didn't see anybody promoting doing the sous vide with the barbecue. And once I figured out that you can do it and you could cold smoke stuff, and either before or after, and just trying to experiment, and then all of a sudden it seemed to like blow up, and then all of a sudden sous vide was becoming a big thing, and then they're selling on Amazon, and my sister got one, and my niece got one, and they're all like, wow, just amazed. And it's kind of spread real quick, and I'm happy to see it because now it's becoming more of a household thing that everyone's going to have. And it really is such an easy way to cook and such a great way to cook. But a lot of people, I mean, when I first mentioned it to them, like I want to give one to my mom, and she's like, oh, a lot of people are really intimidated by it, and you have to kind of try to convince them that it's actually not that intimidating. It's actually very easy.
Yeah, and I think people can oversimplify, just like with any cooking process or any kind of cooking utensil or appliance. They can oversimplify it, and I see this all the time. People, oh, sous vide, that's great for steaks, right? And well, like you said, now that the sous vide circulators and units themselves are priced to where everybody can afford one, people are buying them up, and they're experimenting. That's why, when I started the Facebook group, I started that before the YouTube channel. That's starting to grow, exponentially. I mean, the first 2 months I had started it grew to almost 1,000 members, but now I'm pushing 7,000, and it's growing. I'm gaining 20 or so members a day. And then the YouTube channel is continually, YouTube doesn't really, you can't pull from Facebook into YouTube and YouTube into Facebook. They're two different people, I guess. I don't know what it is, but it's really hard to get somebody on Facebook to go into your YouTube and subscribe. And then the YouTube people don't go into Facebook much. I know a bunch of even YouTube channels people that don't go to Facebook for some reason. But
Yeah,
it's a new way to cook that people can get intimidated. But that's one of the reasons why I started my group and my channel, is to show people that it's not as intimidating once they just learn the basics. Most of my cooks on my YouTube channel are simple. They're not complicated. They're not chefy type things where I see a lot of people in some of the other sous vide groups. They got to make the stuff that you would see in a 5-star restaurant. They got all the plating down and everything. But most of my stuff is simple stuff people would cook normally every day. And you too. I mean, every once in a while I'll throw something in there that's fancy, but I see that, a lot of the stuff that you cook, you're cooking for your family like me, and you're cooking simple stuff and showing people how simple and how easy sous vide can be.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole thing. And you know what? I'm not a gourmet chef, and I certainly like watching some of those videos, the high-end guys and the sauces and all that stuff, and that's all fine and dandy. But, and when you're a family man, you got kids running around, you got limited time, you don't have time, you're lucky just to get it on film, so I just try to incorporate different things in my videos that, since I am not a gourmet chef, people aren't going to come to me just because they want to say, oh my God, I want to see the next, dish he's making. I try to make it a little bit of fun so people kind of know who I am, my family is. I throw the beer review in, and now my kids are trying to get a little bit more involved. And a lot of people are like that. And so that's why I kind of try to keep it just a little bit different, because I'm not a professional chef. And I always tell people, look, and one guy was criticizing me because I wasn't reviewing the beer good enough. And I'm like, look, I'm not a professional beer review either. I'm just telling people, hey, this is good. You might want to try this or not, so it's all good and all fun. You can't take yourself too seriously. But yeah, introducing people to sous vide and how, the best thing about sous vide, in my opinion, is the fact that, the hardest thing is seasoning it, sealing it in the bag, and then just sticking it in. And then, depending on what it is, you're not set to a schedule. Oh my God, we got to take it out of the oven at 4:00 exactly, or else it's going to overcook. You can go do your thing. You can be entertaining, having fun. And, hey, it's an hour and a half later than when you were supposed to take it out. And if it's a tri-tip or something, hey, no problem whatsoever. It actually is probably going to be a little bit better since you let it sit in there a little bit longer. But once people realize they don't have to babysit their food as much, and the hardest thing is just putting that sear on it. But to me, that's one of the most enjoyable things of cooking. If you can put a hot sear on it and you don't have to worry about overcooking it, then it becomes a little bit of an enjoyable exercise. And then soon after, you're eating. So it is as simple as it could be, in my opinion, for the results you get.
So let's go back to your YouTube channel here for a little bit, because that's one of the things that endears me to your channel, is that you get your family involved. In the beverage review that your son does, and your daughter and your wife, with the taste testing and stuff like that, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Because like I said, you're cooking for your family, just like I do. Most of my videos, I'm cooking for my family. They don't like to be on the video, so it's hard for me to do that. But they're in the background waiting to eat. So so that kind of, like you said, it kind of makes you rush to get your videos done. And maybe you don't have the best video quality because of that. But we're real people, and when you have your family show up on your videos, people relate to that. Hey, this is a real guy. It's not some paid actor or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to fill in the void, because I'm one man with one camera and a tripod. I can't do the rolling along, side shot, close up. I don't have a lot of time to spend professionally editing and different angles and music fading in and out. And I do the best I can. I think I do a pretty decent job. But I have to offer something to someone, because there's a lot of videos like that, very professional done, very, they make you want to watch them from the minute you turn it on. And, when you're one guy, one camera, one tripod, you have to, and you're doing it, surrounded by family in your real world environment, you have to offer, I think it's good to offer a little bit of that to people see, like on the inside. I think it makes them connect a little bit more. Like they feel like they know me and they know my family. And I get a lot of comments of people, oh, your daughter's so cute and your son's a crack up. And, they subscribe, and they actually are excited to see my next video, because they want to kind of see that interaction again. And so, that's what I'm doing, and I'm having a fun time, and my family seems to be enjoying it for the most part. There are times when they're like, hey, no, I don't want to be on. I don't feel good. I look horrible, kind of stuff. And, sometimes I can convince him, come on, just, go comb your hair. Come on, let's just get it done. Then we can eat, just like you said, they're sitting on the sideline going, can we eat? Can we eat?
Yeah. And one of the things, when I first started, and even today with the YouTube channel, YouTube is only one of the things that I have. I have the Facebook group, the page, this podcast now. YouTube is there. I'm using it. I'm growing the channel, but it's not my 100% focus. And a lot of times you get these people that comment like they're watching like a show on Netflix or something. They'd like to criticize you like you're being paid, by them or something. There's some, they're a paid subscription. And so they kind of try to dictate what you should do. Oh, you did this wrong, or you should do it this way. And, how do you get over those kind of comments? Because I know I get them all the time. So I know you have to get them too.
Yeah, I do. And, for the most part, I just kind of ignore them. I try to still, answer and respond to all the positive comments I get, or even people giving me constructive criticism. I don't mind that. But like you say, when they come in and, have an attitude or they're condescending right from the get-go, I just, I think there's been a couple of them that were kind of across the line that I deleted. But for the most of them, I just let them sit there, and just let other people read them. And, I kind of find them almost humorous in a way, because you could tell they're just trolling and they're just, for whatever reason. You know what? It's just, I guess, part of the business model. If you're going to be doing it, you're going to have people like that, but, it doesn't bother me that much. It's nothing that is going to ruin my day or outlook or my motivation for doing it.
Oh yeah. I'm the same way. It doesn't really, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. It's just, I kind of laugh at them because some of them they take themselves way more serious than I really take myself on the YouTube channel. I'll get people that say, oh, you're just copying Guga. And it's like, no, I'm doing something a little different than Guga, but Guga has, this is what he does for a living now. He spends, all week and all day filming and editing and putting his videos together, and that's what he does for a living. So this isn't what I do for a living. This is just a hobby of mine. So I'm not going to have the editing quality and the videography and all the lights and, special filters. And like you said, I'm not going to have 3 different cameras filming 8 different ways, different sides of the cook and all that. People like me and you are just doing it as a hobby to help people out. It's not like it's a business for us.
Yeah, exactly. And, like I say, I like watching those guys, the high-end YouTube guys that make enough money to do it full time, and they can really, hire a couple people to come in, multiple cameras, professional lighting, sound systems. Hey, I'm one guy, and I work and I have a family, and I just, I try to get one video out a week, and I've been pretty consistent. And I think the channel is growing a little bit because I did kind of make that commitment around 6-7 months ago. Okay, you know what? I used to be in the beginning, you know what? Okay, maybe 1, maybe 2 videos a month. I wasn't really focused, and now I'm like, okay, I can do 1 video a week. It's not that hard, and but still, 1 video a week can take a lot of hours to do from when you actually decide what you're going to do. You got to go to the store, you got to go buy it. Then you got to come home, you got to get everything ready, all the ingredients set up, record it. And then, after you're recording it and you've cleaned up and you've eaten, then of course comes the time of uploading it and editing it. And then, the whole separate step of uploading it to YouTube, filling in the descriptions. And, it can be quite tedious after a while, so you can only do so much in a day, when you got other stuff, family commitments and work commitments. But you know what? I really enjoy doing it. And when I do get a video done that I know is good and I got the footage and I just know it's there and I've uploaded it to my computer, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I can rest, especially if I do a couple videos a week and I'm a video or 2 ahead of schedule. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing good now, so I got that motivation now to kind of keep doing it at least once a week. And I'm happy to see my channel slowly growing. It's the revenue is slowly increased, and the viewership's going up. And I don't know why exactly, but I'm happy, and I'm glad I'm getting more subscribers because it's something I really enjoy to do. It makes me feel good, it makes me feel like there's a purpose to it. that I've introduced people to this way of cooking, and we can all share our experiences and learn from it, because like you say, there is no wrong or right way to do anything. I mean, there might be a way that you think, well, yeah, I think this is a little bit better way to cook it, but I'm not going to criticize someone if they do it a little different, because they might get superior results too. You got to have an open mind. You can't just say, well, this is it. And with this way of cooking, there is no set way. There's a lot of different ways to achieve great results.
Well, and it's not just, and I've been cooking all my life pretty much. I started working in restaurants when I was, 14, 15 years old. And I worked first 12 years of my career, I was in the restaurant business. So I found out early on that personal preference on anything is a big thing. So whether you're making a hamburger or a steak or pulled pork, there's always room for personal preference. People like certain, flavorings, certain seasonings, certain tenderness, certain doneness, and everybody has their own in there. So you can't, that's one of the things I try to keep out of my group is that people say, well, you have to cook it exactly this way because that's how, Aaron Franklin does it. Well, okay, I've tried it that way, but I don't particularly care for that way. I like to do it my way. So everybody's going to have their own way. But if you just give them a guideline, just like most of your sous vide, guidelines, there's guidelines, there's time and temp guidelines. There's a range, you can, from 2 hours to 4 hours, at 134 to 136, it's then you kind of pick and choose what you like best. And I tell that to people all the time. Try it multiple ways, and then you can figure out what you like. I can give you some ideas on what to try, and then but I'm not going to tell you have to do it this way.
No, and again, that's the great thing about sous vide, and that I think I'm trying to portray that in my videos. And I've my last video for the bratwurst, I kind of made the story, hey, you know what? You're having a barbecue and you're saying, hey, everyone come over, maybe a football game or a baseball game's on, the local team. And, it's a Sunday afternoon and, you're like, hey, I really don't want to be slaving or doing a lot of stuff. And I was doing bratwurst and I said, hey, you set the sous vide at this temperature. You do like individual packs, maybe 2 bratwurst per pack, get individual packs of onions and green peppers. And you just stick them all in there, a big container. You got this water heated up, and then hey, people start coming over at 2:30. You got the gas grill going on, or charcoal grill, whatever. You pull a couple bags out, dry them off, throw them on. Some guy comes an hour and a half later. Hey, you don't want to give them a dried up, cold bratwurst that you cooked, an hour and a half ago. You just pull another bag out. And I was trying to tell people and educate them, going, look, there's these guidelines, like you say, and it doesn't matter if you cooked it for an hour or 2.5 or 4. It's all going to be good. You just got to, this is the great thing about sous vide. It really helps you if you plan your cooks around that concept, like having a get together. And you don't have to necessarily, people aren't going to all show up at the exact same time. People are going to be eating at different times, and that can stress you out, especially if you want to serve at a certain time. And then, this way you don't have to stress it. You throw it in there, you pull it out, you do it individually or in pairs. And hey, you know what? Everyone's happy and everyone's eating a perfectly cooked meal. And, they're going to be very impressed.
Yeah. And one of the things I try to tell people is some people, especially on the barbecue side, get offended if you tell them, that barbecue is not perfect in itself. Like the way that they cook, I put mustard on my pork butt, then I put, my seasoning on, then I wrap it at 160, and then I pull it at 202 exactly. And that's how I make it. And that's perfect, and it's like, well, that's great. I do it that way sometimes as well. And sous vide doesn't replace that method. Sous vide doesn't replace any method as far as I'm concerned. It actually enhances it. And you can use it as a tool just like you would, your microwave or your indoor oven or any other cooking appliance. You can use the sous vide method as to enhance your cooks, but it doesn't have to replace anything. It's not, a barbecue versus sous vide, which some people tend to come at me like that every once in a while, You're boiling meat, and it's like they're defending barbecue. And it's like, you don't understand. It doesn't replace barbecue. It can help it and enhance it. So
Yeah, and you know what? I like doing both. All my videos are not sous vide specific. I have a lot of videos that are just sous vide. I don't even get the barbecue involved. And then there's others that I just do, barbecue videos or smoking videos, whatever it might be. But you know what? I do like mixing the two because it kind of makes your creativity go up, because now you're not going to have to necessarily worry about cooking it perfectly. There's a little more skill set and stress level involved, cooking solely through the smoker versus cooking sous vide, because sous vide, it's going to be at that temperature for whatever you set the time to, so the meat's going to be cooked exactly how you want it. So now you're left with how do you want to apply that smoke? Do you want to do a little before, a little after? You can keep it cold, you can apply that moisture, those layers of smoke, and just, create something that's really not necessarily going to be better than someone that did it straight through the smoker, like you say, they're different tastes or different ways, and they're both great. So it's just nice to be able to experiment and try different things and then come out with something that's really good and, be able to share that with people, because if people realize how easy it is to cook with it and realize the results you get, that's what's really going to turn their minds really fast. And I think with some of the videos I do, that's what I hope I'm portraying that.
Yeah. And a few of my videos when I first started out, especially, I did, a barbecue versus a sous vide barbecue, ribs or pulled pork or what have you. And one of the things I tried to stress and emphasize, especially I had my son, blind taste test it, was that there wasn't really a dead winner, of which one is better. And people in their head try to get that, which one is the absolute best. Well, I'm here to show you that neither one of them are going to be the absolute best. They're both good in their own right, So it's not a contest of the very best, way to cook something. You can cook stuff multiple different ways and have it come out amazing.
No, I just, I did sous vide carnitas, where it was like, hey, smoked sous vide carnitas, but I smoked it first on my pit barrel, got a really good bark on it, and sealed it in a bag with some Mexican spices and oranges and onions and something. I'm like, wow, I don't even know if this is gonna work, because I like the smoked pork and I also like carnitas, but I've never mixed the two, and I mixed the two, and you know what, it was really, really good. And so I was like, hey, you know what, I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that, but you know what, yeah, you just have to be open to experiment and try different things. And you know what, you're not going to hit a home run every time, but every time you cook something, you're going to be a little bit more knowledgeable. You're going to get a little bit more experience under your belt and know, maybe next time to how to adjust your methods to come out with a much better result. That's the fun thing about cooking too. Like I said, I'm not an expert chef, but and I think I'm pretty good and I pretty much wing it. I'm not the guy that's usually, following recipes to a T. I'm just trying to kind of, I'll always try to add my little tweak to it just based on my experience of what I like and what I think will work well.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I like to watch videos or recipes and think about how I can tweak it to make it, better for my taste. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. I got Inkbird as the sponsor of the podcast. I'm going to let the add air for them right now, but I will be back in just 1 second with Erik Mueller from Smo'King Barbecue Tips and Recipes. Hey guys, I just want to take a minute to mention Inkbird Barbecue Products. They're the sponsor of our podcast today, and they have their Bluetooth 4-probe digital barbecue thermometer, the IBT 4XS, is on sale on Amazon right now for 20% off. Gets it to $44. It has a 500-foot range with Bluetooth. It works with your iPhone, Android device. You can monitor your pit temperature plus up to 3 different foods. Works great. Lots of options. Check it out on Amazon in the description below. I've got a link to it. Check out Inkbird. They have other products out there as well. Thanks for Inkbird for sponsoring the podcast. And now back to our show. All right, we're back with Erik Mueller from Smo'King BBQ Tips and Recipes YouTube channel. All right, Erik. So we talked pretty good about sous vide and barbecue and your YouTube channel and all that. So I want to get down into some nitty gritty stuff now on the second half. Let's talk
All
about
right.
the different kinds of grills and smokers that you have had like to use. So what do you got on your porch right now?
Oh, I don't really have that many. I have that first one my wife got me that kind of started my whole career, which is a cabinet gas, propane gas smoker. It's a smoke hollow. It's a pretty big one. It's got, I think, 5 or 6 racks, and it's got dual burners on the bottom. And, the max temp I can get on that is probably right around 300. But I mean, that's full blast. And sometimes it doesn't hold that very long. It'll go down to around 270. But, it does a decent job, especially if you're smoking something on the low end. You can get it down to around 175 degrees. So if you wanted to do fish or something like that, put it on the top rack. But that has its limitations, and I always wanted, if you're like barbecue, you like real fire, whether it's wood or charcoal. And I ended up getting that pit barrel. I was debating between that and the Webby Smoky Mountain, and I decided to go with the pit barrel, and I'm glad I did because I've always cooked pretty good. I never really had a complete fail on that. I mean, everything I've cooked on, it's been pretty good. It's got its, you got to, again, experience. You have to learn. It's not exactly a, set it and forget it like they advertise it. You do, depending on what you're cooking and, what's going on, you can have certain issues. But, overall, it's very easy to cook with. So that was my second one. Then I got just a kettle grill that I got. It's not even a Weber. It's a Members Mark, which is the Sam's Club brand kettle grill. That was around $100. Around a year ago, I picked that up, and that's pretty much my smoker utensil. What I've been doing lately is there's this. You probably heard of it, that master class, and they got that Aaron Franklin. We got access to all of it through my kids through their school because they were watching a few of them. And I started watching this, and I thought, hey, I'm going to watch his, he does a whole series on smoking and barbecue, but his specialty, of course, is brisket. And so I was watching the first, couple episodes, and then he gets into like the third episode where it's like, just how to start the fire, how to do this, because he's got these big offset huge smokers at his restaurant, and I'm watching it, and after 10 minutes I'm just like, I'm looking at my wife. I go, well, I gotta get a smoker like this. I need, I'm like, I can't watch this guy and try to absorb all his information and not try it, you know what I mean? So I'm like jonesing to get like a wood burning smoker of some sort, but my God, that's going to cost me quite a bit of money. So, but, that's what I want to get next, something like that, or some kind of different smoker, and I don't know. Can you ever have enough smokers?
Now I got a few of them, but I don't have an offset. I used to run an offset a while back, and they're kind of hard to, that's what Aaron prefers to use, especially for his restaurant. And he builds his own out of, these big propane gas tanks and stuff, but they're kind of hard to manage. You got to really keep toss the the wood in at the right time and to keep that temperature going.
Yeah, but that's the part of the thing that kind of fascinates me. I mean, I know there's a lot easier ways to do everything, but yeah, I actually watched the podcast of Malcolm Reed, and he has a podcast out where he watched that whole episode, and he was talking to his wife about it. And same thing, he said, yeah, man, I really respect the guy. The guy does this, but he was saying, I don't do it this way, and I don't do it this way. And he doesn't even have, he has his vents wide open, and he does this. And I'm like, and just like we're talking about, here you got two guys that are on top of their game. And, if they were using the same smoker, doing the same dish, they got some pretty big differences between how they cook, and it's like, that's, again, you have to have the flexibility and have that open mind to not always think that, it's your way or the highway. There's so many, that's the fun part about cooking, is just experimenting and doing stuff. So I would like to just have one, I might get sick of it and think it's too much work, but I just think it would be nice to try to play around with that a little bit. A little bit. It'll be a challenge, Yeah,
and you can get a decent one. And I don't know how it is in California, but me being in Florida, we don't get the whole end of season, end of barbecue season deals like a lot of the country that gets cold does. Up north and stuff, they'll have, at the end of the summer, a lot of the stores will blow out any remaining, grills at a drastically reduced price. But I know we don't get that here in Florida. I don't know, because you got the same kind of weather we do. You might not get the end of grilling season deals like some of the other.
Yeah, no, the only kind of dedicated barbecue places are like the really high end. These guys that are putting in these, barbecue islands, next to the jacuzzi, next to the, perfectly manicured, palm tree backyard area. And so that's stuff like, no, I that's too much for me. I just want to get the smoker.
Yeah, you can get a decent, like a char griller offset smoker for a couple $100. A friend of mine, Mark, has one, and he uses it. You can do some mods to them to make them, heck, the ones Aaron Franklin uses, he makes himself out of propane tanks. So it's not like he's having somebody, custom make fabricate these things. He's welding pieces of metal to him himself that, from a propane tank. So
Yeah, and he's getting great results. So yeah, there's no one way or one, thing that's going to be the end all cure all.
Yeah, and going back to what you were saying is having different people with different cooking styles and stuff putting out great product. You just go to a barbecue competition and see that. I mean, I had Harry Sue on my podcast a couple weeks ago, and he's the first one to tell you he won competitions on a Weber Smoky Mountain for years. And then you got guys right next to him that are using, a $10,000 Jambo, specially, made pit that are coming in 50th place. So it's not really about the equipment. It's about the cook, no matter what, a good cook can cook on anything. And that's one of the things he likes to tell everybody, because he won, you take it from a guy who won a lot of barbecue competitions on a $200 Weber Smoky Mountain, so.
Well, yeah, you have to be able to improvise. You have to be able to trust yourself, and because sometimes even the simplest cooks can, things could go wrong or something doesn't seem right, and you got to be able to kind of be able to readjust maybe the seasonings for the sauce or do something, and the more you run into situations like that, the more you're able to fine tune and kind of wing it, as I say, and be able to do a real decent job because your instincts and your experience are kind of coming through.
Right. All right. So let's talk about, since we kind of know what you have out there, what else would you like besides the offset smoker? Have you ever looked at maybe thinking about a flat top griddle or?
No, I do want to get a griddle. One of my favorite restaurants we go every year for my birthday, because we get a birthday coupon, is going to Benihana, the Japanese hibachi, where you sit down with the whole family and the chef comes and steak and the shrimp and the fried rice, and I remember going as a kid, 10, 11, 12 years old. My mom would take me, and I always said, man, one day I would love to have a stove like this, like a flat top, in my house. If I'm ever rich and successful, I'd love to get this, and that's pretty much what those griddles are. So I've been looking at that. That's another thing that's kind of on my horizon, trying to get one. I don't know how much I would incorporate them into videos, because there's a lot of people that are really good there, and I don't think the coordination and the hand skills to be doing the flip. I'm no hibachi chef from Benihana, but I would certainly like to try to make some killer stuff on it, and it's another thing that looks really fun to be cooking on, and I think you can get, again, results that aren't possible on any other way. So for that alone, I definitely am interested in getting one like that.
It makes it easier. I have a 22-inch Blackstone that I picked up on Facebook Marketplace for like $60. And that's another thing you might want to just look at getting one that's, this one was actually brand new. Somebody had bought it, got it as a gift, and didn't take it back in time, I guess, to be able to return it. And they just sold it straight up. So yeah, I play around on that, and there's certain things you can do on it that it's harder to do in a frying pan on your stove top. So and that are easier to do. I have a griddle on one of my Kamado grills, and which is okay, but it's still, I have more room and I can control the temperature a lot better on that Blackstone, and I'm going to be getting a Camp Chef here, 36-inch, a bigger Camp Chef flat top here soon. So I'll get to play around with that. But they're fun to play around with, and just like anything, you got different, cooking, different grills, different cooking appliances, for different types of things. So what else would you like to have? How about, have you ever talked about getting a pellet grill or looking at those?
Yeah, yeah, I would like to, eventually get a pellet grill. I just, yeah, I don't know. I haven't been extra motivated. I seem to be more. I think the pellet grill would be more of a simplistic, easier thing. I'm sure it requires skill as well, but to me, it doesn't really motivate me because I'd rather do something takes a little bit more of a skill set, a little bit more enjoyable to do. I don't like kind of the which is weird because I like sous vide, and that's kind of like kind of set it and forget it. You seal it and but again, you have to experiment within that window and how to make it your own. But yeah, I would like to get a pellet grill eventually. I would like to get one of these charcoal gravity smoker things. I don't know if you ever seen them. They're like these big boxes, and then you fill a side chute with charcoal, and the fire's on the bottom, and it just like self feeds it. So it kind of is like something you could set and smoke once you get the temperature adjusted. But of course, these are like smokers that are in the $2, $3, $4, $5,000 range. So maybe one day.
And I've never really, besides having the Kamados, which people think those are an extravagance, but I've never been really looking to get a very super expensive grill, like some of these pellet smokers that are $3,000-$4,000. I think a lot of that's overkill. I can cook a lot. I like the Camp Chef that I have, and it's like you said, it's simplicity. It's like when I come home from work and I'm not in the mood to get the fire going on the Kamado, light the charcoal and get the wood, the wood in there for the smoke and all that. I can just turn that pellet grill on, walk away, prep the food, and then throw it on there. But it also helps me with my videos to show people that, hey, if you have a pellet grill, here's how you can incorporate the sous vide with the pellet grill as well. So that's why one of the reasons I like having the different grills. It's not just for me personally cooking, but it's also to show people the different things you can do with those different types of grills if they happen to have one, or showing them what makes that particular grill or cooking apparatus special, or what it can do.
Yeah, and I definitely think there's a big market. You should try to do more videos just with the pellet grill, because I think there's a big market for that. I think a lot of guys maybe who don't want to necessarily invest the time and energy to learn how to smoke and cook or whatever, that the pellet grill is a kind of great alternative, because you can set it like a stove, load the hopper up, and still get pretty good results as long as pay attention to what's going on, whatever it is. So I definitely think there's a market. I think there's a lot of people that want to be the weekend barbecue guy, but don't want to invest too much time and energy, and the pellet grill for them is a perfect choice. So I understand that, and like I said, I wouldn't mind necessarily getting one either. Wouldn't mind getting one of those Kamado type grills either. There's so much stuff out there, and there's, the patio's only so big, but
well, yeah,
in a perfect world, I would love to experiment, if with any of that stuff, and like you said, it's not like one thing's superior over the other. It's just sometimes it's nice to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'll sous vide it at this temperature. Well, how do I want to finish it off? Do I want to put it on a kettle? Do I want to smoke it a little bit, longer at a lower temperature? Do I want to do it, hot and fast? And, if you have a different variety of barbecues and smokers, it's nice to have that ability to change things or change things up a little bit,
Well, my friend John Setzler, who was just on last week on the podcast, I've known him for a few years, and he's big into the Kamado cooking, but he also started, spreading out, had a pellet grill for a couple years now, but he's also got a big Alpha wood-fired pizza oven. And one of the things he just got was a big Napoleon gas grill that he's, kind of said that there's not a lot of YouTube channels with guys using gas grills, believe it or not. A lot of the barbecue and outdoor cooking channels focus on charcoal one way or the other, whether it's a Weber kettle or a offset or Kamados, or so he's going to try to tap into that type of market. And just because there's a market for all kinds of grills, and believe it or not, people buy gas grills all the time and use them. So
No, there is, but yeah, I that was what I was cooking on from day one, because gas grills are pretty easy. You just turn them on. It's nice to be able to have the dial and adjust the flame, and if you're doing something basic, it's very easy. Burgers or dogs or even steaks, no problem. But if you're doing something like a brisket or ribs, or I think you get a much better result if you're using some other type, whether it's over charcoal or whether you're maybe be able to apply a little bit more heavy dose of smoke on it than you can using a gas grill kind of thing. But yeah, I know those are very popular because everyone can just have those on their patio. They live in an apartment or something, and you just, like you say, the convenience. You come home, you're tired, you just flick the switch, you push the igniter button, you let it heat up for a few minutes, throw your steak on or chicken breast or whatever. Super simplistic, super easy, but that's what I'm trying to show with those sous vide videos. You can do the same thing. You pre-cook the stuff, you have it in the freezer. Maybe you take out in the morning when you come home. It's been sitting in the fridge, and then you just dry it off and throw it on the grill. Hey, that's simplistic too, and quicker.
exactly. All right, so let's talk about some of the cooks and chefs and YouTube channels and stuff that you admire or that you follow or that you followed before, that you still do, or that you stay in touch with.
Oh, well, boy. The first cook I think I ever saw was Julia Child back on, TV when I was a kid. And, she was kind of fascinating because she always looked like she was in charge and knew what she was doing. And the accent was kind of different and weird. She'd always be making something a little bit strange, like duck or something that, was like, oh, look at that. She's making the gravy. And then, the people, YouTube channels, Malcolm Reed. I always like his stuff. It's kind of nice seeing him because he was kind of, way back when, he was still very successful, but, he was just kind of similar to me, doing it in his kitchen, one camera, one tripod, and he had a few more smokers and grills, but he always did really good. And, he built up his following. I really like him, and I like to see him still being very, very successful. There's so many now in the YouTube community, and I don't know if I just didn't notice it when I first got into it, or if it just kind of grew right beside me and I wasn't really paying attention. But like, that, with the YouTube cooking community, there are so many, there's so many people out there, and everyone's so friendly and nice, and you meet people, you watch their videos, and you're like, wow. And then you go look, and they're like, 728 subscribers, and you go, what? Wow, this person should be way more. And then you see someone, that's got a lot, and maybe you're thinking maybe they're not quite as good as the other guy, but it's everyone is just so great. And yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to, I don't like singling, I like Smoky Ribs, Russ. He does great videos. Of course, T-Roy, these are the guys that back in the day when I first got my smoker, these were the videos I was watching to learn recipes and learn how to, attempt it for the first time. So, but there are so many people out there that are, as they go along, their videos are getting better. It seems like we all started the same way with our cell phones and just a desire to share our, videos and share our cooking styles. And it's great. There doesn't seem to be a lot of jealousy or a negative energy around any of us, like, oh, that guy's got more subscribers. And I mean, everyone just seems to be a great group of people. And I love seeing different live broadcasts where people are all maybe in a meetup, and it just seems like a really cool thing. And I hope to see it just continue to grow, and I hope the whole community just starts getting better and we all become successful for it. It would be great.
Yeah, I think the ones that are really into it to help people and love what they're doing, they're the ones that are in helping people. Like you said, like Russ Jones and T. Roy and Greg Mervich, they've all helped me when I first started. I was watching them, and I just kind of reached out to them and said, hey, I've just started. Could you give me a shout out? And they're like, oh, heck yeah. And they watch my video and go, man, we like what you're doing, and I've met Greg. I flew out. I was out for San Diego for work a couple months ago. And I called up Greg and said, hey, I'm in town. Let's go have dinner. And he said, yeah, let's go, and T. Roy's helped me out a lot. Russ Jones has helped me out. John Setzler's has helped me out. So a lot of those guys are really, really helpful and want other YouTubers to succeed. And they're really deep down, nice guys. So, and
No, they're very nice. And I watched a lot of Greg's videos too when, he got a pit barrel way back when and was cooking a lot of stuff on it. And he had a lot of the early sous vide stuff too before anyone else was doing into it. So yeah, there's a lot of great people out there. And like you said, they're just no one seems to be kind of too proud of themselves or too stuck up or too they support each other. They watch videos. They're not going to criticize you. They might give you some helpful hints, or they might say, hey, you know what, you might try doing it this way. This might be better, rather than, kind of trolling or giving some kind of nasty criticism. And so, that's what I love about it. I really haven't experienced any negativity from the community itself, but like you said, there's different motivations. I'm not doing this to launch a new career. I like to do it in the fun, for fun and relaxation. I like to share what I learn, and I like to hear people that watch my videos feedback and to interact with the community, whether it's on the Facebook group or on the YouTube comments themselves or Instagram. It's just a great community, and it feels like I'm more connected with people and having fun, and that's what it's all about. If I can make a little money on the side as I get closer and closer to retirement, hey, that's like a double bonus,
Yeah, that's kind of me too. It could be like a little side hustle when I'm ready to retire, it's great. So I don't have to be the greeter at Walmart,
Well, no, exactly. I'm going next month to Vegas for a few days, and the trip's going to be completely funded from my YouTube earnings. I just let it sit there and in the AdSense account and just, keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I'm like, okay, boom, once I'm over $1,000, let's just go have some fun. And hey, you know what? I'm getting paid to do what I absolutely love to do. And, like I said, I'm not a professional. I'm not out there. And, I get a lot of negative criticism, but I just say, whatever. I have a lot of loyal fans too, and people enjoy what I'm doing and like the way I do it. And you know what? I'm always just trying to improve, make my videos a little bit better and a little bit more enjoyable, and just, have fun. I want people to watch them, not because, like I said, they're looking for the next great recipe, just because they want to feel like they're a part of the community and having fun and that they know a little bit about me and my family, and they enjoy having that connection, once a week.
Exactly. All right. So it's about time for us to wrap this up, but I want to talk about one of the things that we were kind of touching on there a little bit is, where do you get your creative inspiration from? Where do you get your ideas for your recipes and all that?
Well, I watch a lot of other YouTube cooks and creators, and I've done a couple other people's videos, and I always give them credit and leave a link to their video. I look just for recipes by themselves, not necessarily videos. The longer it goes, things go on, it gets a little bit more difficult because you get set in a certain way of how you like to cook pork buck or ribs or, whatever it might be. So I'm always trying to see, okay, well, I know I could cook it awesome this way, but maybe I should try to mix it up, whether it's different seasonings, whether it's, whatever it might be. So sometimes it's hard to get that creative streak going, but I just like watching other people's videos, looking at recipes, and then sometimes just trying to brainstorm a little bit and come up with some ideas, different ways to do things, something that you've already done 100 times before, but you're thinking, well, how can I change it up a little bit and do something? And that can be challenging because, the longer you do this, the harder it gets to keep that creative streak, going, and to figure out ways to introduce things that are different. And you're not always going to be successful when you try, but that's the fun part of cooking. You got to take the chances. You got to try to do things. And so I do try to keep that creative streak alive. It's always nice when you can just go by to the old standby recipe and you're going to nail it every time. But you also got to kind of always keep that streak alive in your mind by just trying something different,
Exactly. Well, next year, the International Sous Vide Summit is going to be in San Francisco. So maybe you can head up there and meet me out there. Hopefully I'm going to be out there as a speaker next year. They invited me out there to do the one this year, but I wasn't able to make it. But I plan on going out there. It's in August of next year. So maybe you can head up to San Francisco and I'll get to meet you in person up there.
Yeah, that's a day. That's not too far of a drive.
Okay.
Afternoon drive, but yeah, that certainly would be
All
fun.
right. Well, we'll look forward to it. I'll see if I can maybe even get you a hookup to get you in. So, but
Yeah, that sounds
I
great.
want to thank you for being on, and I appreciate you, taking your time to be on the podcast. And I really, like I said, some of your videos were the first ones that inspired me to start my channel and to start the whole fire and water cooking concept. So I want to thank you for you starting your channel, because you helped inspire me to get going, and probably a lot of other people like me. So
Darren, I mean this, I really appreciate what you're doing, and you're really, taking it to the next level as far as, the sous vide and the barbecue stuff. And it's been great interacting with you. Like I said in the beginning, I feel like we're old friends, even though we've never met, just because we have communicated with each other from the beginning. And it seems like we've kind of both discovered this way of cooking, sous vide and barbecuing, around the same time. And you're continuing to share that with people. And I think it's really taking off, seeing the different posts on your Facebook group, and, how people are interacting and posting photos, and people are like, oh, it's just great. Like I said, that's what it's all about, to have that. It makes you really feel good that it's not just a waste of time, because it is work, when you have to sit and record stuff and edit it, like I said. And you know what? It makes it all worthwhile when you have people that you can see are really enjoying what you do and really enjoying the information you're sharing, and you're making great friends along the way. It's a complete win-win.
Exactly. Well, thanks again. And make sure, everybody, you check out Erik's YouTube channel. It's Smo'King, SMO''King. Barbecue, BBQ tips and recipes. And I'll leave a link in the description of the podcast below. But check out his videos. He's got a ton of them. He's got a ton of sous vide and barbecue ones as well. And check him out on Facebook. He's got a Facebook page as well. So check him out. Erik, thanks again.
All right. Thank you, Darren. It's been great talking to you.
All righty.
I wish you continued success in the future, and hopefully next year we'll meet up in San Francisco.
All right. Thanks again, Erik. And thank you, everybody, for following us on the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. Well, thanks again for joining us on the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast, guys. Make sure you check out Erik Mueller's Smo'King Barbecue Tips and Recipes YouTube channel, link below. Also, make sure you check out Inkbird in the link below as well, our sponsor. Make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you rate us at a 5-star. Also, make sure you check out the Fire and Water Cooking YouTube channel, and also Fire and Water Cooking on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'll see you again on the next podcast. Thanks again.